Good morning, and welcome to Namaste today, an absolutely delightful way to begin your weekday. I'm Christopher Witecki, your heartfelt host and your personal sensei to some serious joy. This audio blogcast is for Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Friday, March 3rd, 2017. Thank Goddess it is Friday. Namaste. Well, it may be the end of a week, but it's the beginning of a rabbit hole. Down the spiritual rabbit hole you will go, my friend. A vortex opens up this weekend, and fate takes over. I'll have the details in your Zodiac weather. And later in your tea time, I was in a meditation, and God has a message for you. I'll report that just a little later. But first, let's take a look at today's moods and your Zodiac weather. This Zodiac weather is for Friday, March 3rd, 2017. And the global mood for the Earth consciousness is overcast, cloudy, and some major shifting going on. Step 13 rules the day, which means there's a dimensional shift. And over the weekend, Venus goes retrograde. Let's take a look at the planets. Well, my friend and earthly neighbor, take a good look at your surroundings and your life, because Sensei says reality is about to change. But first, we're going to go through a major vortex. This vortex is known as a Venus retrograde. It lasts 6 weeks and begins on Saturday. But before it does, today, step 13 rules the day, and that means today you might go down that rabbit hole. Now, step 13 is always a breakdown and breakthrough. In this case, we're hitting a harmonic. Venus is at step 13, the final degree before she retrogrades tomorrow, and the Sun is at step 13. I call this a soul harmonic. And it's not just a soul harmonic, but 13s add to a 4. 4 is a dimensional shift. So we're going to go down some sort of conscious rabbit hole, and it begins by believing something different about yourself. Expect in the next 24 hours to learn new information or come to a new belief, or you may follow an existing belief to a conclusion. The conclusion is you're not in Kansas anymore. And to some degree, you're not in Kansas because we just had a solar eclipse in Pisces pull away all of our emotional baggage. And indeed, having no baggage is a total new funky reality. But also because we're heading down a bit of a rabbit hole as Venus will retrograde in the next 24 hours. What's interesting is there's a lot of manifestation energy going on today, which means this dynamic shift is going to manifest in a quick reality. For one, Mercury's at step 10 today, and for two, the moon is in Taurus, which is the sign of step 10. So what you be today will law of attract very quickly. What you think and believe will call to you very quickly interesting results. And a T-square, actually, which is kind of propped up by some fears going on in the planets, is actually holding a lot of our space and strength. On the one hand, Pluto's at step 18, so as we go into this vortex, you're holding space to play by new rules. So whatever happens, you're looking to play by new rules, you're looking for a new deal, and this new deal could be playing out any specific story in your life, but it's time for a new deal. The other thing that it's time for is a new level of your own personal character and performance. So Uranus at step 22, Aries, is saying a new character is about to be born, and this character is higher than you've ever attempted in this existing lifetime. And then thirdly, Jupiter at 22 degrees in the T-square is restoring balance and order to your life, bringing new relationships in or poor relationships out, and also restoring fairness as far as getting what is yours. So we're going down this Venus retrograde rabbit hole, which will last for about 6 weeks. And in this time, we're trying to bring forth this new character that is balanced in strength and getting what it wants and holding space for a new deal. It's interesting times. Now, Chiron is at step 24 as of this weekend. Just went to step 24 Pisces today. Chiron tells me where God Universe is doing some healing and clearing. And step 24 Pisces is nirvana, literally. Like, if I would find 1 degree in the zodiac that is heaven on earth, it should be step 24 Pisces. Now that means that Chiron at this very moment, as you're going down the rabbit hole, is opening up the high ceilings of consciousness for everyone on the planet. The literal ceiling is going up. And this also means you're probably in this retrograde likely to draw in new spiritual colleagues, or it will pave the way for your own spiritual manifestations or your own spiritual miracles. So for those who are vibrating high, the ceiling is getting higher. What does this mean for you today? This means today you really just need to go with the flow of what your heart says is right and what you believe. And it's very likely that if you're following your heart and what you believe, that you have a blind corner ahead, that you can't see around the corner and what's going to happen. That is fate waiting to happen. So tomorrow, on Saturday, Venus will retrograde, and you'll begin to start to understand and conceptualize where it is you belong. And on Sunday, Saturn will conjunct the galactic center, at which the sun will also be at a peaceful point, step 15. And in this moment, you may have your first signs on Sunday of what this Venus retrograde story will mean for you, and you might have your first connection to a higher vibration of spirit. To me, it's going to be a very interesting and compelling time. And in next week's Namaste Today, I actually go into some deep details about what you can expect during the Venus retrograde. But first, before we go in this retrograde, recently in meditation, I had Spirit give me a message for you. Go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is, God says, call me. This actually came up in a meditation more than once in the last couple of weeks, where literally in almost a funny way, God was telling me, call me. And at first I thought God was saying, call him, call her, talk to her. And when I did, and I kind of connected, I got this sensation that, no, God wanted me to tell you to call him. Like, to tell my audience, to tell everyone. And it's something that I've sat with for a little while, and I'm going to talk today about my own conversations with God and share with you a couple things that have happened for me. And this is to encourage you to not fear of calling God or Goddess. Now, by the way, some people prefer Goddess, some people prefer God. I want to say that I believe God is both genders, of course. In fact, probably she leans more into creativity feminine than she does masculine. For me, I'm comfortable with the male God term because I had a hard time with my own father on earth, my biological father, and having a father in heaven really feels good to me. I mean, I also have a fantastic, amazing mother who's always been there for me spiritually. So just for me, God is male. But whatever God is to you, use your gender. That was something that came up in our namastetoday.club, and I want to put that out there. Before I get into this conversation for this fun-filled weekend, I just want to talk about what's happening in the big picture. Saturn is conjuncting the galactic center. Now, this is something that happens once every 30 years, okay? So it has happened in the 80s, and I talk about this in an upcoming Namaste Today. But in this particular time, as the galactic center is struck, we have a number of other outer planets changing things, and we have a Venus retrograde. So as the clock strikes 12, so to speak, and we align with the center of the Milky Way, we align with where every star in our system was born from. That's the alignment of the galactic center. We do a Venus retrograde, which means a past life version of ourself is coming forward, an ancient part of ourself. Now, another way to look at this is your soul has begun a certain story over many, many lifetimes, and your soul has had an ambition over many, many lifetimes. And I believe that we're coming to a point where we're going to pick up some of those stories and take it another few hundred feet or whatever. Now, many of us know, I think, in their deep self that they are here for a bigger reason. I don't know about you, but I was born knowing that this is a very special lifetime. Not just for me, but for the whole world. Like, I've just always known something very special is going to happen in this life. And I'm really, really grateful to have read so many people. I've read over 12,000 people at this point, or over 12,000 readings, let's put it that way, MP3s on file. over the last 11 years. And I have seen that there are many, many clients, at least my listeners and followers, who are here for very big spiritual missions of their own, of which I talk about in the reading. And a lot of times the client's like, oh my God, really? And sometimes the client's like, oh my God, thank you for affirming. Either way, it's been interesting. A extremely large percentage of souls, I believe, in this lifetime are here for a big shift that's supposed to happen. We have light walkers, we have light workers, we have artists, we have poets, we have practitioners, and they've all been clearing their karma and coming into a particular personal power and into their place. Well, my friend, looking at the planets and where all the planets are, I have to say to you, the time has come. The time has come to do what you came to do. In your heart and in your soul, you will feel this. And we have a huge, huge team on the planet this time. We're set up for a whole bunch of interesting things. My readings have revealed that there are souls from Atlantis, there are masters from Egypt, there are people here from the Mayan culture that understands the calendar. There's alien crossovers who just got a body a few lifetimes ago but wanted to see the show. There are people here from the period of Jesus Christ. There are people here from the Crusades. There are the Knights Templar reincarnated on this planet. Like, everyone has shown up, from what I've seen in my readings, for something very, very interesting. Now, we all found each other on the internet so far, and since the last time Saturn was in Sagittarius, which was 30 years ago, the last time it crossed the galactic center, we found each other. We started sharing each other's wisdom. We awakened our talents. We developed our services, like the services I provide, the services you provide. And we've begun to create our sphere of influence. Although I'd say we've mostly been networking with each other, the real audience and the real clients haven't really shown up yet because we have been preparing for this moment. So the big preparation has been done. And looking at the outer planets and how things are going to be changing in the near future, the next couple of years in a profound way, the message I am getting is, from this point on, your instructions on what to do will come specifically from God and your guides. More importantly, from God. That's really the message I'm sending you, is I believe that we're all going to have to go up for the next level. It's now time to be led directly by your higher self, by your ancient self, and by your own relationship to God. And I think that human beings spiritually graduate to a point where you work directly with Creator. You work directly to develop yourself. And from this point forward, I think all the critical information will come directly from within you. Now, it's funny to me, because if you read the Bible and stick just to the Bible and whatnot, apparently God has not directly talked to anyone since Jesus, right? Like, it's kind of absurd, but it's like, Adam, Noah, all these people. It's like, seems like God was talking to everyone back in the ancient times, and no one has talked to God since then. And I'd always felt like I had special communication with God, but I've said this 1,000 times. When I read the book Conversations with God, something in that book, the text itself resonated. It buzzed in me. I knew it was the voice of God. That's just my own knowing, my own discovery. And it comes from having, I guess, experience in history knowing. You just know when you know. So I have learned myself in the last couple years that to go forward, you have to actually directly talk to God. All right? And I've actually had my own miracle proof of this in the last couple of years, my own little witness to my own conversation. And, I think that everyone has to have their own. I will always say to anyone about this, like, you know what, here's how you do it. Go see what God does. You know what I mean? Like, tell me what you come up with, because I've had some incredible, fascinating results. Before I share with you a couple of my stories, just to send you off onto your adventure with the Galactic Center this weekend, I will give you my how-tos to connect to God. I have learned a few things of my own. These are just practical human things. One is, I've told you 1,000 times, but you got to have a sacred space. It doesn't have to be sacred by anyone else's terms. It's sacred in your terms. You literally cannot really have a sacred space if you're praying on the toilet, you know what I mean? Like, or in traffic or whatever. And I laugh because I have caught myself praying to God, like, oh, sorry, you know, like in the worst times, like, because I want to make it sacred. There's something about taking it and making it sacred. Like, God knows, Spirit knows that you're making it sacred. You can't hide anything. So when you create it as sacred, it's almost a signal that you're serious about the connection. The next is to get in your heart, because really the message, the communication is from the heart. I have felt literally the energy leave my heart when I pray to Spirit. And if you can fill your heart with love, even better. If you can fill your heart with gratitude, even better. These are the conditions in which to communicate. In fact, it's actually the heart that really does the communication. Like, your heart will just be like, ugh, like squeeze out, like, I want it so bad. Like, it's that, I don't know, that child angst that your heart wants. And I literally will feel message received. And I have a couple of times when I have felt message received, and I'm going to share it with you before I leave. In fact, last year I had 2 miracles happen in 2016. One miracle was in the beginning of March or April, and I was completely out of money at that time. I was having a very hard time. I was living in hotels at the point because I hadn't figured out where to rent, so I was like really not grounded. I didn't have a car of my own. I was renting cars. Like, I was feeling so out of place, and I was starting to freak out. And I woke up one day and I was just like, I haven't just prayed to God. I just haven't tried that. Like, I really should just do that. You know what I mean? Like, dear Lord, I'm out preaching it. So I had felt like a real connection to God when I read Conversations with God, but I have to say I quickly but was so, inundated with the day-to-day reality stuff that I hadn't really thought about. So that day I chanted just to log into my higher self, and I, basically got on my knees, but I wasn't on my knees, I don't think. And I, in my heart, was like, God, I really would like, please, a change. I need something to change. I can't see at this point. I've done my best at this level. I don't know what to do next. Please send me some sort of what to do, some sort of sign of what to do. So I go to bed. I have that whole day. I feel pretty good, actually, because when you make a connection, and I have to say, when my heart did that, I felt this little ding, like my heart felt like it was heard. Like, I felt like the message was received. There's this feeling that I get in my heart when it's like received, like what? And I can't describe it except that I just know it has been. So the next day, I'll just say that a new viewer, basically, contacted Serious Joy and made a huge donation to our organization, and we were able to get through a very hard spot. And I swear to God, the very next day I had the answer, and it was huge. It was so out of the blue, incredible, you just couldn't deny it. So the summer went on through the year, and in the fall, again in September, when Jupiter was in the high degrees of Virgo, I started losing faith. And I had a lot of balls in the air, as you guys know. It's like I'm trying to do a lot of things. I'm developing a new system. I'm doing so many readings. I'm on the air so much. And I was really having a hard time with faith. And I remembered what had happened earlier in the spring. And so I basically, again, got on my knees and was like, dear God, I need a sign that I'm doing the right thing. Like, I just need a sign. I'm feeling extremely vulnerable. Things are way too real. I need a sign. And that day, actually, after that prayer period, again, I felt my heart go, and I felt God, and I felt like message received, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, okay. And I kind of went through the day, and that very day, a musician called me who I had ordered a song from, okay? And he called me after weeks, because he went off for weeks to go write this thing, and I hadn't heard from him. And he calls that day, and he's like, hey, man, the song's ready to listen to. You want to hear it? I was like, yeah, come on by, man. That'd be great. Like, it'd been a very difficult time or whatever. And we get in the car and he plays the song, and the song is Maybe It's a Sign. I had no creativity in this song at all. He just went off and wrote it. He told me he was inspired and he prayed himself for the lyrics and whatnot. And I'm actually going to play my little music video of that song after this particular Namaste Today tea time. But the point is like, the song was literally lyric by lyric, felt like God telling me, like, this is a sign. And if you look at the lyrics and everything that came through, it's like so crazy familiar. Now, for me, I had a moment of goosebumps. I had a moment of, you have your own hot flash when you realize this shift is real. And you have to do it on your own. It's like, if I've had my own miracles, I know throughout my life that the universe has shown up for me, especially when I reach out. And so recently in meditation, the last couple days, like I said, I've had my little knock knock who's there with God. And basically God sent me the message that it's time for you to call him. It's time for you to call her. She's waiting for your call. The reason is there's a lot of special instruction as to what's going to happen next. And, the way God keeps the dark from completely taking over is at some point he just communicates directly with her subjects, okay? And that way she knows everything's going to go perfectly. It's also part of our journey to rise to the next level. So whatever your terms are, I encourage you through this Venus retrograde and through this dynamic shift ahead to, on your own terms, in your own voice, in your own way, connect to your heart and the higher creator and see what is waiting in store for you. I think many fascinating missions are beginning. Now, as I send you off on your weekend, I have a couple of quick announcements. Because I am launching a new system coming up here in March, I have to navigate some of my energies. And so I'm going to be holding on Zodiac Weather and Tea Time until March 29th. But don't worry, I will be here. I'll have the weekly show on video. And I'm going to do a special series, something that is easier for me to do and doesn't take so much day-to-day time because I put a lot of time into these tea times. I think you guys can probably tell. I'm going to do a series of the 11 steps to serious joy. That's why it's going to take 12 days to tell you about it. So beginning on Tuesday, there won't be tea time. There won't be the Zodiac Weather. There will be step 0, beginning with all the steps. And for those who want to learn, this is a fascinating series. I'm going to teach you in this Venus retrograde some of my knowledge. All right. And if you want day-to-day kind of guidance, well, become a Serious Joy subscriber. Now is a fantastic time to do it. Come on down to seriousjoy.me for details. You can try it for 7 days for $1.99. And people in Serious Joy, every day they get what we call a daily pep talk. So they get the planets and more every day. All right, my friend, I hope you have a fabulous Vortex weekend. Definitely come on down to our Facebook club, namastetoday.club, and share with us what's going on. And if you need support, come down there too. We got a lot of light walkers and wonderful, loving people there who are doing an awesome job to support one another. Have a great weekend, and remember, I love you, and live, love, be. Live, love, be.